Question number 3, the name of the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Acting Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his government statements and actions?
In the context in which they were made and within the facts known at the time, most definitely yes.
Supplementary question. Does he agree with the Prime Minister that he's not hung up on the use of the name Kāinga Ora, or does he agree with the National New Zealand First Coalition agreement that says, quote, all public service departments have their primary name in English except for those specifically related to Māori?
On this side of the House, we don't have hang-ups. That's number one. The second thing is we admit the majesty of the Māori in any other language and its intellectual muscle builder for a young person, and we've encouraged it from the time we arrived in Parliament, some of us. But that said, community housing or housing the community has become not that, it's become some virtually signaling thing where people don't get housed and where housing displacement or people waiting for houses went up by a massive 33%. So we want delivery on policy, not virtue signaling any longer.
Oh, supplementary. Does he agree with Chris Bishop that Kāinga Ora is known as Kāinga Ora Homes and Communities? I don't know a single person who calls it Homes and Communities. And is that within the spirit of the National New Zealand First Coalition agreement that all public service departments have their primary name in English except for those specifically related to Māori?
Well, Mr Bishop was saying something terribly honest and everybody understands it and everybody can sympathise with it, because the essence of all communications is understanding and comprehension, excepting over there. They'd rather virtue signalling so that most people don't know. And I can tell you now that when it comes to Waka Kotahi or Kāinga Ora for that matter, people are concerned about getting a safe, affordable house. They want to get roads that are tar sealed and the potholes are fixed up, not some virtue signalling thing which has certain people over there thinking that that's what people want for public policy. Ordinary, hard-working New Zealanders can expect something better.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Does he agree with Winston Peters, quote, the announcement today that New Zealanders will now have a direct pathway to citizenship in Australia is a monumental success that should be celebrated and congratulated? Or does he agree with David Seymour, quote, actually, we just got played by the Aussies, they've done a raid on New Zealand talent?
Under your leadership.
I have to say that not by any sense of bias, but I prefer the first comment because every now and again even a fool can get it right. And Mr Hipkins went over there and spoke to Elbow. Mr Hipkins went over to there and saw Elbow, and Elbow saw the reasonableness of our complaint. And it arose yesterday when it came out that someone who left this country at 2 years of age was sent back here as a 501. That's wrong. But in the big picture, Mr Seymour was right when he said this, because he could have expected from 2 Labour ministers across the Tasman to have got so much more.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Does the government still intend to raise $170 million for its tax cuts by taxing offshore gambling, or does he agree with the 2023 New Zealand First manifesto that that's just not credible?
On the budget.
The purpose of good governance, and ministers over here understand that, is to ask good questions and keep on asking good questions to get the right answer. That manifesto was setting out some very good questions, and I'm still waiting the answer. And I admit the possibility. No. Because we've been in business and know how business works, we don't act like that. Laugh and scoff and jeer. They couldn't run the school tuck shop. In our case, we ask good questions, and we're still waiting for the answer.
Honourable Tamapoti.
In relation to Kāinga Ora, is the Acting Prime Minister aware that the number of families on the social housing waitlist went from 5,000 to over 25,000 under the recent Labour leadership?
Yeah, well, could I say to the Minister of Māori Affairs, I'm dreadfully saddened to have to confirm that, but that is what happens, and it shows you the difference between a one Greens party that came in this country way back in the 30s, and they started building houses because they had practical people in Parliament who knew what poverty tasted and felt like coming out of the Depression. And yet this modern version has come in with these virtue signalling policies and done the very worst for Māori, and they stand there and claim to be the paramount voice for Māori today.
Supplementary question. Does he agree with that noted economic commentator Winston Peters that the national government's tax plan, quote, they're going to make all this money, but every frontline economist has said, hang on, you've got a hole of $500 million a year, that's a hole of $2.1 billion over 4 years, how can you pay for your tax cuts?
The marvellous thing about consultative politics is that you learn things, and when you've had that discussion, you find a solution, and the Minister of Finance has already found it.
Was that smoking?
No. Now, if he wants to talk about smoking, and the Maori voice, they have taken for Maori and Pacifica in the last 12 years. Listen up. Listen. No. Can I just say? I know what my. Excuse me. Don't tell me about my. I started it. The Ngāti Wai Land Retention Committee. The Ngāti Wai Land Retention Committee. Listen up, you. The Ngāti Wai Land Retention Committee was started by a guy called Winston Peters in 74, 75. Right here, right now, you're looking at the founders. So don't preach to me about that. Now, if you want to talk about Maori and smoking, no. I know that you've got no familiarity with the marae, but shouting won't help you. I've got the microphone, and I've got plenty of patience, okay?
Oh, well, you may not think you're finished, but I do. And I don't mean that in terms of your career. No. Well, point of order.
With respect, Mr. Speaker, they were saying something across, and everybody's entitled to interject now and again, but a screaming, volatile mass like we heard over there is not what Parliament looks like. I respect their right to interject. I think it's exciting and it makes exhilarating these debates. But that sort of clownish, cacophonous behaviour doesn't work.
Thank you.
Supplementary.
Supplementary, the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
Does the Acting Prime Minister agree with Winston Peters? Quote, sadly, the spokesperson for the National Party said, if I don't give you a tax cut, I'm going to resign. Wow, could be a chance to have a decent Minister of Finance with a bit of experience.
But the Member of Parliament and now Finance Minister said that is giving us a tax cut. Get used to it.